Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dietrich and today I am in a 2025 Lexus ES350 and I'm going to teach you how to use the dynamic radar cruise control with the Lexus Safety System 2.5, and we'll also talk about the lane tracing assist. There's a few different versions of this system. If you don't have a set button anywhere on your steering wheel, you may have Lexus Safety System 3.0. I'll put a link in the description for a video on how to use your dynamic radar cruise control. And if you have a little dongle down here that you use for the cruise control, you have some different controls. I'll put a link to that one too, since I've made a bunch of these videos. But today we're going to focus on this ES350 with the Safety Sense 2.5 and talk about dynamic radar cruise and lane tracing assist. So the dynamic radar cruise control, this is the way it works, okay? If we're out on the highway, there's no cars around, and we set the speed at 70, it just goes 70. However, it uses the car's cameras and radar sensors, so if we come up on a car that's going 60 when we have it set to 70, it will slow down to 60 and kind of pace that car. It can even bring itself to a complete stop. This is not a self-driving system. It's not a hands-free driving system. You need to pay attention to the road, be ready to intervene, and keep steering even when you have the lane tracing assist activated. So to get the system going, step one is we push this button, and now it's telling me radar cruise active. Please pay attention to other vehicles. But on the 2.5 version of the Lexus Safety Sense, when you push that, it doesn't immediately turn it on. You have to push the little button that says set to set your speed. Once your speed is set, you can push the plus to increase your speed, push the minus to decrease your speed, and then you can also hit RES resume if you had to hit the brake to cancel the cruise control briefly, or if the car brought itself to a complete stop and you need to get moving again. This button here adjusts the distance between you and the car in front of you. Where I live in Southern California, using a system like this on the highway, I always choose the shortest following distance. Reason for that being, if you use one of the longer following distances in heavy traffic, people will just get in front of you all day, and then your car will try to readjust by slowing down to get to the longer following distance, and then somebody else will get in front of you, and it's just kind of crazy. That's my personal preference. If I'm out on the open road and there's not much traffic around, I will use a longer following distance. And then we have this button right here that turns the lane tracing assist on. So what that does, if the car's camera can read the lane lines, it will try to adjust your steering to keep you centered in the lane. However, once again, it's not self-driving, it's not hands-free driving. You need to keep your hand on the wheel. The car will get angry with you if you don't. So, with all that being said, let's take this beautiful vehicle out on the road and demonstrate this for you. Okay, now we are out on the road, and I already pushed this little button, so it says radar ready. The lane tracing assist is active. That's why those two lines are white. So we are reading the lane lines here, but I am going to wait to set the dynamic radar cruise control because we are coming up to stopped traffic. So right now I'm manually driving the car. So one of the limitations of the dynamic radar cruise control is it's not meant to drive towards a brick wall and stop you. There are other safety systems in this car that in theory can do that, but I'm not here to test those today. So as an example, let's say you're using the dynamic radar cruise control and you're out on the highway doing 70 and there's no traffic in front of you, and all of a sudden up ahead you can see traffic is stopped. Don't rely on the dynamic radar cruise control to pick up the cars that are at a dead stop up ahead from you. I'm gonna hit set to set my speed now though. Oh, and it beeped at me to brake, but then it did it on its own. Just hit the brakes and take control. So what I just did, because I could see that traffic is not gonna flow smoothly for me right now, is and now I'm gonna hit set, or resume, excuse me. So I set the speed, and I knew we were gonna come to a stop, but I was only doing like 23 miles an hour, so it didn't matter. Now I need to push plus a bunch of times to increase my speed so I can keep pace with traffic. And I'm going to, my following distance is at the shortest possible following distance. So now I'm cruising, and the car in front of me is thinking about slowing down. He's slowing down, and now I'm slowing down. I do not have my foot on the gas or the brake at this time. We do have a green light up ahead, so I think we're going to start going faster. And there we go. Now we're accelerating with the flow of traffic. And this is the way the dynamic radar cruise control works, and I love it. I don't normally use it on surface streets in my personal vehicle. I typically just use it on the freeway. Okay, so now these guys are going to get out of my way. I want to stay in my lane. And this is where things can get a little dodgy, so I just kind of tapped the gas and steered around them. But the dynamic radar cruise control is still active, and it is locked onto the vehicle in front of us now. And now we're pacing him because our light turned green. So that's what I mean by you're still driving the car, and you need to be ready to take control of the vehicle and, you know, not impede traffic in situations like that. Something else to keep in mind, be mindful of what type of vehicle that you're following. So right now I'm behind just a regular pickup truck, no issues with that. The example I always use is a flatbed truck with nothing on the bed of it. So if you're behind one of those, are you actually locked onto the back of the vehicle, or are you locked onto the back of the cab? So be mindful of that. Motorcycles, I don't like using the dynamic radar cruise control to follow motorcycles just because it's a smaller target and you don't want to hit anyone, but you especially don't want to hit anyone on a bike because they'll be potentially more severely injured. Using it in the rain, I've used many different automakers, adaptive cruise control, dynamic radar cruise control in the rain. It typically works fine. I do advise using this button to set a longer following distance if you are in the rain using this system. And if it's raining too hard or if it's too foggy or something and the car can't trust its own data or can't, you know, trust what it's seeing through the camera or the radar, then it won't let you turn it on. I do not recommend using these systems in any type of snow or icy conditions because you need to be paying the most attention and having the most control over the car in those conditions. This is funny. Normally I film these on surface streets so that it'll come to a complete stop, but this one doesn't want to. And when it beeps, it's telling me that the lane tracing is no longer active, and then when it becomes active again, that little icon turns green, the one with the car in between the lanes. And the system is adjusting our speed for us. Again, I do not have my foot on the gas or the brake. I am going to have to make a left turn coming up here, so we will figure that out. In a perfect world, this guy will do the same left, but the world, as you may have noticed, is far from... Oh, he's doing it! He didn't signal, but that's okay. So I'm going to signal, and I am going to stay behind him. Oh, are we going through the turn? Even this light is green. I can't come to a stop today. So this is another thing to pay attention to, though. So as you could see through the turn, because this is a Lexus, it didn't try to accelerate through it. But in theory, the dynamic radar cruise control could have lost sight of the vehicle in front of us and tried to accelerate, but that didn't happen. Okay, so now it appears we may actually come to a complete stop. And that's how it works. The car did that. I didn't do it. My feet are not on the gas or the brake. Car kind of inched forward a little bit. If you're stopped for more than a few seconds, and this may have been a short enough time, no it's not, so I'm going to hit resume. If you're stopped for like 3 or 4 seconds, it'll move forward if the car in front of you moves forward, but if it's any longer than that, then you have to do something, hit the resume button to get the car moving again. And for the most part, that's pretty much how the system works. And as you can see, I have my maximum speed set to 44. We're currently doing 44, and the car in front of me is kind of running away. So I'm letting him go now because he's going faster than what my maximum speed is set at. And see, he just, I don't know if, I'm sure it'll show up. He got out of my way. So now there's like no car in front of me. I'm not locked onto anybody, and the system just functions as regular old cruise control now. And now I'm only going 44 miles an hour, so let's see. Now I'm locked onto the vehicle in front of me. You can see because there's a car right there, and now he is slowing down, and I am slowing down, and that's the way the system works. And it's an ugly Discovery 5 from Montana. This person's either a tourist or they decided they didn't want to pay California tax. But either way, they bought an ugly, ugly car. And now, what I did there was I just tapped the gas, and that got us moving again. I tapped it a little too hard, and the eager 3.5 liter V6 revved a little bit, but no trouble. So you can also just tap the gas pedal if you need to get moving instead of hitting the resume button. And I'm gonna change lanes. And like I said, that is how the dynamic radar cruise control works. If you have any questions, please go ahead and put them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. I do appreciate you watching my video. And please like my video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And have a great day. Bye-bye.